Hi everyone, my name is Cendra Beaton. I am running to be a Belmont Zone school trustee. I'm a proud mother of 2 children that I've raised in our district since kindergarten, and they are also competitive swimmers with the Wonderfuka Royals. I'm proudly married to a Canadian Armed Forces man on the submarines. I have been involved with our Rotary, and I'm also a member with them. I've been engaged everywhere, especially in education as an advocate. I was the president of our local chapter of Canadian Parents for French for a long time. I was also a provincial director with the same organization and involved in committees all the way to the national level in strategic planning, policy, redrafting in committees, budgets, you name it, I've done them. On the PAC level, I've always been involved in my kids' school at the PAC. I find that so important. And I was also the spokesperson and president for the district PAC for SD62 for a while. And it's really quite a privilege to be able to be that voice for parents as a partner group and be able to participate in all the consultations internally and externally. I was often participating in just about every committee at our district level, from the Education Policy Committee, the Resource Committee, the French Advisory Committee. I've been highly engaged. With the amount of turnaround that we're going to see on our school board, I will bring a lot of experience and knowledge with me as I step into this role, and I'm ready to work hard for you. So thank you, and vote for Cendra.
My name's Russ Chipps. I'm running for SD62 school board candidate. The reason why I'm running is as a youngster, my school experience was bad. I didn't like it. There was not really a lot of equality when I was growing up, and school wasn't a place where I really wanted to be. As an adult, and being chief of Beecher Bay, and working with Langford, very closely with Langford, there's been some shift and change, a change of equality and tolerance. We spend a lot of time at the school board community council table, and I've noticed that not just for, well, I'm seeing a lot of change for our people at Beecher Bay, but I'd like to spread that change into the whole community. I'd like to spread that advocacy to everyone. I think that everyone is equal, everyone is the same, and we should all be treated so. It's been a really good time these days in the school. It's not perfect. You know, nothing can be perfect. There's a lot of change that always needs to be changed. We're evolving all the time, but working with the school district and Langford, I feel like the change can be made.
Hi, my name is Dominique Jacobs. I'm a candidate for school board trustee in SD62, the Belmont Zone. I'm a parent with a child in the district. I'm also physically disabled and a single mother. Last year, I identified several issues which barred us from full participation. I've noticed that policies in terms of equity, inclusivity, and accessibility need updating and improvement. I want to bring a much-needed diversity to the school district. My areas of focus are bringing Black History Month curriculum, anti-racism, and implicit bias training to the school district as part of the 2022-23 strategic plan. I believe in transparency, and I'm interested in responding to the unique needs of families to ensure that schools are safe, healthy, and inclusive for everyone.
First, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you today from the traditional territories of the Esquimalt and Songhees Nations and the Kongan-speaking peoples, where I'm honored to live, work, and play. Hello, my name is Christine Lervold, and I'm running for SD62 School Trustee in the Belmont Zone, which includes Langford, Colwood, Highlands, and Metchosin. I have lived in this community my entire life, and I was also educated and raised my family in this community. I am married and the proud mom of 2 grown children who were also educated in SD62 and currently completing their post-secondary education. Prior to pursuing a 25-year in the BC Public Service, I completed my Bachelor of Education from the University of Victoria and completed all of my teaching and practical experience in the district prior to becoming a teacher on call for 2 years, where I had the opportunity to work in every school within the district, which afforded me the opportunity to see not only the similarities that exist, but also the uniqueness of the various schools and the communities we serve. In addition, I worked as a youth and a preschool program instructor at WestShore Parks and Rec, where I had the opportunity to instruct programs for children aged 2 to 16. Since retiring from the BC Public Service earlier this year, I started my own technology and management consulting company, providing consulting services for large-scale digital technology, service, and organizational change and transformation. Through my career in the BC Public Service, I was responsible for leading large teams and supporting programs that serve citizens across BC. My last role was with the Ministry of Education as Director in Services and Technology, leading complex K-12 programs serving all BC, Yukon, and independent schools across the province. I've also spent considerable time in my life in the community, volunteering in minor sports and charitable and nonprofit organizations. I'm extremely grateful for the experiences that have allowed me to lead, learn, and understand the importance of good governance, fiscal responsibility, collaboration, and engagement. I am running for school board due to my passion for public education, this community, and ensuring that all students, families, and staff have equitable access to safe, inclusive, diverse, and innovative programs, services, and experiences.
Hi there, my name is Ravi Parmar, and for the last 8 years I've had the honor of serving you as a trustee, and the last 5 years as chair of the Sooke School District Board of Education. I want to thank the WestShore Chamber of Commerce for providing this opportunity to trustee candidates to be able to speak directly to voters. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm honored to be here at the WestShore Chamber of Commerce headquarters recording this video on the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, and I also want to recognize the nations that we work with, the Sianu Nation, Beecher Bay, the Sooke Nation, including the West Coast Pachinat Nation in Chalmouth, as well as our Métis brothers and sisters. It has been an absolute honor to represent you on the Board of Education. But my journey fighting for SD62 started a long time ago, when I was a student at the old Belmont Secondary School on Jacqueline Road. It was there I led a student movement, collecting signatures, starting a student walkout, as well as meeting with the Minister of Education, George Abbott, at the time, to convince him to replace the old, aging, duct tape-filled Belmont Secondary with 2 new high schools. Our student movement was successful, and it sparked an interest in public education for me and how we could do so much together working as a community. 2 years into university, I was getting bored and I was excited for the next step in my life. And so I ran as a trustee candidate in 2014 and was successful. I was the youngest trustee in the province, and it was something I was really proud of, bringing the voices of our community, the voices of our student, right to the board table, something that I felt was missing. For the last 8 years, I've had the honor of being your voice on the Board of Education, working hard to build new schools like Paksisang and Center Mountain Lalem, working hard to ensure that transparency and equity is reflected in our governance, and also ensuring that learning, engagement, and growth are priorities as it comes to with our strategic plan. I'm really excited about the future of the Sooke School District, and I hope I get a chance to be a part of it in the future.
Simigigat sigidam hanak doisinism gangaasam. Gan gubuwalses. Trudy spiller hlewai, la gaganao, la kibu hlepedege, wilps gwidnit, Victoria Winzogi, so toisi nissim gangaasam. Want to acknowledge that we are on the Lekwungen territory and give thanks for the Esquimalt and Songhees for allowing us to work, play, and enjoy the beautiful territory. I moved to Colwood in 1990 as a single parent, raising 2 sons. Now my husband and I are raising our family members. I have been in the school district for 24 years, putting children into school, and I have been 11 years as a role model to the district. I am author of Trudy's Rock Story and Trudy's Healing Stone. I have presented to 21 of the 26 schools within the district. I have sat on the PAC. I've sat on the safety committee at Wishart, organizing and upgrading their emergency bags for the classrooms, and I've sat on Speak. I want to thank the previous trustees for their work in developing a solid foundation in School District 62 for the incoming trustees to go forward with.
First of all, that is a huge question. Our district has a vision and a mission statement embedded into the strategic plan. This plan is currently in place from 2021 to 2025 and will be a huge asset for kind of creating that direction for our district. I was privileged to be part of the consultation process and engaged in creating this document, and I wholeheartedly support it. One of the big concerns that we have is we never have enough funding to achieve everything that we need, but it's constantly reassessing those needs and seeing where we can have the greatest impact. That's important, and I'm certainly prepared to do that. We also have this wonderful team who's actually a leader in the district. Their goal is to create supports and resources for students with diverse needs and challenges. And a great example of that is recently at our Luxton Fair, they had provided this wonderful sensory board, which was able to assist those families to make sure they were equally able to participate, which is really wonderful. So it's things like that our district is doing such a wonderful job in and continuing to be a leader across BC, and they get me so excited about all of that. Another thing that I would really like to address is the organizational practices to ensure continuous equity, diversity, and that we're meeting all those needs for all our learners, our students, and our staff across the board. Having that safe space is so important, and you can certainly count on me to be the voice for everyone, including those marginalized populations.
The demographics in the community are changing. And there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of reports that you can read on how we can help each other. But you need someone in that was willing to do the work. Someone has to stand up, and I don't know how to put this. You can't take someone caring, put it in a can and pass it along. And I feel that's what I bring to the table. I actually care. I know how to somewhat get it in a can and pass it along to everybody. And I feel like I can spread that diversity, that equality, and change to everybody.
I think that it's imperative to begin with leadership because representation matters. The leadership of the school district should directly reflect the changing and more culturally diverse population of our WestShore communities. The demographic is changing, so we need to hear and understand the voices of the diverse community that the school board is supposed to represent. For example, there's a substantial Black African descent population at John Stubbs Memorial, yet Black history and stories are still not being included in the curriculum. To add to that, historically and presently, and not just here in our district, but across Canada, the teaching profession attracts young white women. So how are our little Black and brown kids supposed to see themselves represented at school? I can tell you, as someone who went through the BC school system as a Black African descent person, when you're overlooked and underserved, you start to feel like a nobody. If we're truly striving for equity and a sense of belonging for our kids, then Black history and anti-racism should be freely taught in schools, and all religions and cultures would be explored and celebrated. I mean, what makes Christmas more special and important than Diwali, for instance?
Great question. So I'll start off with saying that ensuring equity, belonging, and safety has always been a personal priority for me as a student, as a parent, as a teacher, and as a leader. When students and families feel safe and have a sense of belonging, and have equitable access to educational programs, they'll thrive, and this is also supported by extensive research. Public education also plays a very important role in providing safe places for students to learn, grow, and play, where educational programs and learning spaces are expected to be designed and delivered in a manner that ensures equitable access and considers diverse backgrounds. In fact, these objectives are embedded as part of the BC curriculum, the Ministry of Education, and the Minister of Education's mandate letter, and also included in the SD62 strategic plan. One of the things that is both exciting and also challenging in this community is the population growth that has occurred in 62. This has resulted in greater diversity and also more individual student and family needs and services. For example, in a recent board meeting, it was cited that the district has seen a 25% increase in English language learners. Also, recently revised BC curriculum acknowledges and now has the opportunity for boards and districts to offer local courses that reflect the needs of the community. As a trustee, I would support and encourage the development of locally developed courses, programs, and learning spaces in collaboration with community partners to ensure students and parents not only feel a sense of safety, but also a sense of belonging and have the opportunity to participate and be part of their local and broader community.
This is a fantastic question. The Sooke School District is a growing community encompassing Langford, Colwood, Metchosin Highlands, all the way out to Sooke and Port Renfrew as well. And when my parents first moved us as a family out here to the West Shore, it's a very different community than what it is today. When I first moved out, I was one of the first people of color to be in my local elementary school. And so ensuring that diversity, equity, and inclusion is embedded into our school system, into our structures, into our values is so important. And I'm really proud that our Board of Education has valued that. Diversity, inclusion, ensuring that right at the beginning where students come here to learn, they need to have that sense of belonging. That needs to be a top priority for us as a Board of Education. It has been for the last 8 years as a trustee for me, and it'll continue to be if I'm successfully reelected. Students want that sense of belonging. They want to ensure that when they come to school, they feel safe. They know that there's accessibility here. They know that they feel welcome. If they don't have that, they're not going to be successful. And so we've taken some steps. We've built trust with our Indigenous communities. We've worked really hard, not Samat, one mind, one spirit. We've been working with our LGBTQ community with regards to gender inclusive washrooms, with regards to rainbow crosswalks, and special work on SOGI 123 as well. And also for our English second language learners as well, ensuring that our schools are welcoming places. I know for my family, the school system was very challenging to be able to deal with initially because English was a second language for them. And so with the diversity that we're seeing here in the West Shore and Sooke region, this has to be a top priority, and it's something that I'll continue to work hard on if I'm reelected.
The district is growing exponentially fast, socially, economically, and environmentally, that students really need to have the essential skills to adapt, be resilient, and compete globally. We have many cultural diversities in the district, so we need to ensure a safe place to learn from one another.
Having one of the fastest growing districts in BC, this is certainly our greatest challenge. We do have a wonderful long-term and short-term facilities plan created by our staff. They are constantly updating it to meet our needs based on the statistics and the data that's collected constantly. So it's a very fluid situation, but it covers everything that we could possibly need, from seismic upgrades to new facilities altogether. We are going to see portables for a while. It's very much a reality. What we need to do is be very strategic. We need to work hand in hand with our municipalities and also our provincial government to make those requests at the right time, because everybody across the province essentially is making those same requests. So if we want the most optimal results, we need to be very creative and strategic. I hope to collaborate with my colleagues at the board once we get there to be those champions for our needs in the district and continue to voice that very actively. our kids that live in our jurisdiction, they're our responsibility, and we need to be sure that they're able to be within our schools and our facilities. And I'll do everything I can to meet those needs.
We need more schools. We definitely need more schools. We need more space for our students to sit on. And we also need more growth for our teachers. We need to support our teachers better. We need to hear our teachers better, and we need to support our teachers better. That's how I see the growth being evolving and handled and looked after. Listening to the teachers, listening to the parents, listening to the students, and building more schools. I think that's really what it comes down to.
I think that the district needs to make new and secure existing relationships with our municipal counterparts, city council, and their respective mayors to ensure that we can develop and deliver a plan of growth that meets the needs of newcomers, respects the needs of residents, and protects our fragile environment in the face of this rapid growth. I'm interested in actually seeing a slowdown of residential building and ensuring that community resources like school spaces, buses, transportation, access to food, grocery stores, markets, recreation centers, medical and dental clinics are in place before making huge strides to increase population. We can't even get swimming lessons for our kids out here, and that's a life-saving skill, so that's a problem. I'd like to see more infrastructure first, like traffic lights, stop signs, crosswalks and sidewalks, and streetlights to ensure safe passage for kids who have to walk to and from school before more building happens. I think that we're tripping over our feet with excessive development in the area, and only the wealthy are getting wealthier. We need to think of our communities, how to grow mindfully, and the needs of our children first.
The Ministry of Education has recently changed the allocation and funding criteria for all districts as it relates to planning and building new schools. Previously, districts were only funded for known growth versus projected growth, which largely had to do with risk of fluctuating populations, particularly in certain areas of the province. For example, population growth could be negatively impacted by financial, environmental, or economic drivers. As a result of these changes, districts can now plan and apply for capital funding based on projected and future years' growth supported by reliable, evidence-based data. SD62 has and continues to invest in technology innovation to improve source student demographic data in combination with other data sources to derive data insights for forecasting future growth. Within my role in the public service, I have been specifically trained how to use various technology resources and data for forecasting future needs and resources at a provincial level, and how to integrate these insights into strategic plans and capital funding requests. I would aim to bring this experience and strategic planning expertise to work collaboratively with district executive staff and municipal partners, developers, and such to ensure that school planning and forecasts are considered in the early stages of development planning and approvals, and also support district staff in their capital submission to the province for building new schools.
Yeah, it's no secret, whether you're here in Langford, Colwood, or even Sooke, we're growing. We're seeing lots of development, we're seeing lots of density, and that means young families moving here and a strong expectation of them for new schools and school seats for their kids. This is something I've been working on all my life, whether I was at Belmont Secondary School fighting for 2 new schools or fighting for new schools as a trustee and chair of the Board of Education. It's a top priority for me. We know that our community is growing in rapid pace, and rapid pace because it's the fastest growing school district per capita in the province. And I've been working hard to convince our provincial government that they need to provide funding at that same level of pace. And we've been successful. When I fought for 2 new schools, it wasn't just going to end there. We're just in the process of opening up a new middle school. That's a little bit delayed, but we're also opened up just earlier this month a new elementary school, and we're just getting started. We've got plans to be able to deal with the growth on a short-term measure in adding portables, but I know anyone I talk to, portables are not what we want to see in our schools. They're short-term solutions, but from a long-term perspective, we're going to build more schools. We're going to build a new school in South Langford that we just received funding for. We're going to build a new elementary school in the South Skirt Mountain area, Bear Mountain area, that we received funding for land for, and we're just waiting on money for a new school. We're also going to build a new elementary school in the Royal Bay area as well. And so we've got a lot of work to do, and you need someone with experience at the board table who can sit across from the Premier, sit across from ministers, and get the job done. And I think I've got that track record.
For the short term, the school district needs to upgrade the existing schools, but not sell off the land so that we have to go looking for land later. In the long term, we know that the district is growing by 3 to 4% per year, and we know that this is going to happen for the next 15 years. So we need to plan for when we're building a school, we need to plan ahead and thinking that, okay, we're going to build today, but we're going to build it so that we're thinking 15 years from now of what the growth is going to be. The Belmont and Royal Bay schools were built, and the day that they opened, they were already at capacity. So we need to planning for now is short-sighted, planning for long-term is logical. We also need to partner with programs like TASK with the Camosun College Cosmetology, so that those would be the short-term goals.
While I could not ensure the success, I could certainly provide all the opportunities for the students to get there and for the staff to be supported in going there. Part of being a trustee is making sure not to interfere in education, but rather be that catalyst for it. There are so many factors to support and provide those opportunities, from social and emotional learning, which is so important, and to create a safe and welcoming environment. That's really important. If you're feeling safe and welcome, then you're able to absorb that quality education that we offer in SD62. I want to join in my colleagues, keep supporting those needs, keep reviewing part of the strategic plan that we have in SD62. And one of the new legislations that the provincial government has brought is to report on student achievement every end of September annually going forward. So it's really great to be able to see that data, and we'll be able to start making some strides in where can we strengthen those needs and how can we do better. And I really look forward to reviewing all of that and working with everybody to get there.
The area of focus that the school should be attending to, I see, are two parts. The teachers, the support workers, the janitorial staff, all those people that support the school being open need to feel that they belong there. They need to feel needed. They need to be supported economically. And I feel once they've got the comfort, they'll pass that, they'll pass their kindness back and forth to the students. It'll be a nicer place to be. So, and the students themselves, we can't simply just educate them on how to treat each other better. We got to stand up as community members and show them how to treat each other nicer. And I think that's where we could make some better change.
One major piece and a recurring priority of the school board's 2022-23 strategic plan is equity, diversity, and inclusion, but no one seems to know where to start with this. My expertise as an anti-racism educator will help guide the process so we can see a much needed shift in the right direction. Because I can tell you from personal experience, children are actively being harmed by the lack of this training. The school district needs to take a focus on the most important area of the DEI initiative, anti-racism and implicit bias training. And this needs to happen across the board, like from the top down. Another priority is Black history curriculum, which has never been taught in public school. Yet Black settlers have a rich generational history here in BC. For too long, we've struggled to tell the truth about systemic racism in this country. It has harmed us as individuals and as a society and threatens student learning and child development. Our schools and classrooms remain an important space for community building, And our teachers must have the support, encouragement, knowledge, and skills to help students navigate our country's complicated past and present with racism. And this begins with Black History curriculum. Attacks on culturally relevant curricula like this, diversity, equity, inclusion, actually amplify the need for frameworks and tools that equip school learners and teachers with the knowledge and skills to help students understand why and how racism persists in Canada today. Our classrooms reflect a societal reality, but rather than preparing teachers to equip students for an increasingly diverse world, we're choosing to ignore this reality, and that needs to change.
Mental health and wellness, student transitions, and literacy and numeracy. I can't just pick one because as a teacher and a parent, I believe that intellectual, social, emotional, mental, and physical wellness go hand in hand. Per the first question that we spoke of today, social and emotional well-being and a sense of belonging and connectedness is so important in ensuring a student's ability, safety, and enjoyment and willingness to participate and learn. I believe very strongly in the importance of designing instruction and learning spaces that offer diversity, are innovative, and provide flexibility and choice for how individual students and families need to learn and how they want to engage in these programs. I also believe that embedding mental and physical health and wellness services in the schools and or in collaboration with community and provincial partnerships are necessary to support student and family well-being and connectedness, and ensuring that these are offered in an accessible and equitable manner. Also, as we have 3 different level of grade configurations in our district, in addition to online and homeschooling, putting in place mechanisms that will ensure successful transitions between these grade levels and also post-grade 12 is vital. I've seen as a teacher, as a parent, and a volunteer in the community of kids who've fallen through the cracks as a result of transitions that didn't support their learning and development. I would support locally developed programs in collaboration with community partners to address social, emotional, and physical well-being. And lastly, from an intellectual perspective, I would like to see continued focus on literacy and numeracy. Too often in my experience as a volunteer, I've seen children who don't possess the foundational literacy and numeracy skills in early and middle years, and which are necessary to succeed in all aspects of their education. As a trustee, I would support programs to support teachers and educational assistants to ensure that they have the necessary resources to build foundational literacy and numeracy and able to detect and provide early intervention.
Thanks very much for the question. This important question with regards to successful outcome for students is the number one responsibility for a Board of Education. We talked about earlier ensuring that our students have a sense of belonging, a sense of hope when they come into our schools. And that's step one, ensuring they have that. And once we've done that, we need to ensure that we're providing them the skills they need to become educated citizens. That's got to be the second top priority. And that's something that our Board of Education has been working really hard on, and something that I want to continue working hard on. We know that our schools are innovating. There's new technologies. We know that during the pandemic, many of our students struggled with virtual learning, but there were some students that also succeeded with that. And so I always joke that in education, it can be very difficult to change the dial. But during the pandemic, we shifted to meet the needs of our learners, and we need to continue to do that. We need to be innovative, and that's something that I would support as a trustee and on our Board of Education, is ensuring that our teachers, our educators, and our support staff have the resources they need to be able to ensure that our students get those skills to be the workers, the workforce of the next generation, ensuring that they can become successful tradespeople, work in the healthcare sector, work in the education sector, because we could use more teachers and educators as well, or whatever they decide to do. A clear example of something that I've been working very hard on at the board table is growing our graduation rates with regards to Indigenous peoples. That is something that our board has been working hand in hand with our Indigenous nations on. And we are one of the school districts with the highest Indigenous grad rates in the province. That's something we're proud of, and we're just getting started.
I know that there aren't a lot of Indigenous students that graduate, but I think by including the elders and the role models from their respective nations would help them to feel better about themselves, as well as include the Métis Association. Not all students are academically inclined. The hands-on approach works great for some students, while academic tasks work great for others. My grandson is currently in the task program. Prior to going into the task program, he was ready to quit. Now he comes home and is excited to talk about what he's learned, what he's built. My daughter is in the Dance Academy and PACE and thrives on it. She is now working on her 4th movie as a backup or background. My grandson at one time you couldn't get him out of bed to go to school, and now he does so well. Soji encourages conversation that leads to dignity and respect. The existing Natsama agreement has been renewed with the nations and stakeholders. I've been a role model for 11 years under the Natsama agreement. 2 goals, 1 mind, 1 spirit.
A big part of being a trustee is being able to respectfully bring the public's voice forward at the Board of Education, and the only way and the best way to do that is by being an engaged member of the community. As I mentioned earlier, I'm involved with my kids swimming. I volunteer on the Wondafuka Royals wherever I can. I'm a military spouse and very engaged there. I am a member of the Rotary. I've been involved in PACs, the district PACs, Canadian Parents for French, so many committees. I'm constantly engaging with my community wherever I can so that I can hear those unique needs and be able to bring it forward at the table. Again, it's very important to be a member of the community, to be able to be that voice. I want to hear from everyone, our partners, their voice internally, our community, everyone. It's so important to be able to have that engagement, to be that voice, to feel heard, and to listen to our community. So you can certainly count on me to do that and continue to be engaged and continue to be there for our community at the Board of Education as well.
I would like to say that I'm already establishing relationships, and it'll be a continuing, ongoing thing. Even if I'm not successful as a candidate, the relationships in the school district are important to me, and I'll keep those up. And I've been building a relationship for a long time. It just didn't show up because there's an election on, and I wanted to be a school board candidate. I want to be more part of the policy in the group I'm working with now. So I spent a long time gaining relationships in the school board now, and I want to add to those relationships by working in the policy department.
A trustee should be involved in their community. School board trustees should be reflective of the demographic that they serve. I'm a low-income single Black mother with physical disabilities. I can bring a whole new, fresh outlook to the school board. School trustees should be volunteering, attending and supporting events, and getting to know the people in their community. I'm involved in several different parent groups in the area. I listen to concerns, interact, and support wherever I can. I'm part of the WestShore community, and I'm deeply ingrained as a parent. I do all the pickups, all the drop-offs. I volunteer at my child's school and attend all the parent-teacher meetings. I know the daily concerns of parents, from the lack of school bus routes, to the lack of sidewalks, to sick policies, to the rising costs of after-school care. Parents are struggling to hold it together, but we're still trying to do the best for our kids. I think some valuable connections would be to local farmers, so attending farmers markets, local Indigenous nations, so supporting events and businesses, going to city council meetings and speaking to our councillors and respective mayors in Colwood, Langford, and Metchosin, and of course, engaging the PAC, local principals, teachers, staff, and aides. I'm also no stranger to advocating to the provincial government for funding, and this is where my experience will come in handy. I recently led a large campaign called Budget to Build and approached 8 provincial ministries to advocate for more funding for low-income BIPOC women. My report was included in the final budget for the province. All of these groups represent a critical part of making our role as trustee successful.
Due to my experience managing K-12 program and services that served all schools and districts across the province, I've established many relationships and partners that I would leverage to build connections and collaboration of ideas and knowledge sharing. This was in fact something that throughout the pandemic I was particularly proud of, whereby myself and my team members facilitated weekly and scheduled sessions for teachers, principals, and district staff from across all 60 public school districts, Yukon and independent schools, to support one another, share ideas, information, and lesson learned. Within this role, I also had the opportunity to build relationships with district technology leaders, BC principals and vice principals, SOGI, Indigenous, English language learners, online learning, early childhood, and many, many other district representatives and leaders. Also, as a technology leader over 25 years in the industry, I've established numerous relationships with major vendors, suppliers, and leaders that would be more than willing and happy to support SD62's digital transformation strategy. Finally, as a lifelong learner, resident, parent, teacher, and volunteer in this community, and 3 generations of my family who have lived and served this community, I've established numerous partnerships and connections that could support the various programs, services, and learning spaces that will continue to make SD62 one of the best, most vibrant, and innovative districts in the province.
This is a really great question, and something that I've been working on as chair of the board for the last 5 years, building partnerships. And it all began when I first ran as a trustee, when my slogan was empowering all partners in education. And I felt that was really important because as a student leader, I never had that connection with my Board of Education, with an individual trustee. And I've tried to build that with all of our partners, whether they're built into the school district system, like our employee groups like SPEAK, the Sooke Parents Education Advisory Council, or also our local governments. And I want to share some examples with you. One is developing a new committee structure that actually has our individual partner groups like SPEAK, like the Sooke Teachers Association, CUPE, principals and vice principals, actually coming to the table and helping inform the board on what best decisions to make, informing us in terms of those recommendations. That has been a night and day comparison to what I first walked into as a trustee over 8 years ago. Second example is we are one of the only boards that I'm aware of that actually has MOUs with Langford, Colwood, and Sooke. One of the only school districts to have MOUs to clarify with local governments. And that's something that I led and worked very hard on with Mayor Martin, with Mayor Tate, as well as Mayor Young. And that's resulted in infrastructure spending on our schools by our local governments and strong partnerships that are being established from day one. That's something that I want to continue working on, whether I'm a trustee or continuing to serve as chair, is extending those partnerships with community organizations like the WestShore Chamber of Commerce. Because when we work together, we can accomplish so much. And it's something that I think all boards of education need to continue working towards.
COVID-19 has reinforced the importance of public education in our community. We've learned the importance of partnering with our stakeholders to educate everyone. All education partners, staff, and citizens in our community we serve have a role in supporting student learning. When we commit to fostering diversity district-wide, we enable everyone to have an opportunity to achieve their full potential.
Again, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Cendra Beaton, with a soft C, if that helps you remember it. I really want to bring all my experience and knowledge to that board. I want to be there to continue to make a difference for our families. I want to further the goals and objective of our NOTSAMA agreement that we just recently signed, and also the beautiful village initiative that our district has also recently gotten engaged with. These are all great things that are going to continue to further our district. I want to be a part of it and help you as our community to get there where we need to be. We have 4 trustees that are going to be elected this time, and I just asked for one of those 4 votes from you. Again, my name is Cendra Beaton. Please vote for me for school board trustee.
As a closing statement, I would like to ask the community to support me in running for school board and being on the board. I feel like I've supported this community and they've welcomed me into the community, and I've been welcoming them back, and I want to be part of the bigger picture, part of the equality, part of the new thing that's happening in Langford and I can't say it's new. We've been working on our relationships with the school board in Langford for a long time. I don't remember that we had to go to some support group together to start treating each other like human beings. We just looked at each other equal and started treating each other as equal, and in this West Shore, and it's been working well, and I just wanted to continue that advocacy for that.
Thanks to the WestShore Chamber for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on my platform, and thanks for supporting the school board candidates in this district. My name is Dominique Jacobs, and I'm a parent first. We all want what's best for our kids, and including diverse voices in leadership will bring inclusivity and accessibility to the table. Vote for me, Dominique Jacobs, the Belmont Zone.
In closing, I'd like to thank you and the Chamber of Commerce for providing the opportunity today for the constituents of Colwood, Langford, and Metchosin and the Highlands to learn more about me and why I'm running for school trustee. I hope that through my responses today, I have demonstrated my lifelong commitment, my passion, and my interest and dedication to the education and the communities that serve SD62. As a former student, parent, teacher, public servant, and lifelong community leader in this district, I would be honored to put my knowledge and experience to work for all students, families, and district staff. I believe that with many long-serving trustees retiring this term, and due to the significant growth and change and diversity, this district requires experienced leadership that will assure the continued growth, change, and improvement that our students, parents, and staff expect and deserve. You can find more about me on my website, christinelervold.ca, or connect with me by phone, email, or in person at the number of events that are planned and also advertised on my website and through Facebook. Please don't forget to vote on October 15th or at the advance polls on October 5th and October 12th, and I hope that you will vote Christine Lervold for SD School Trustee. Thank you.
Thanks so much to the West Shore Chamber of Commerce for providing this opportunity to all of the candidates in the Sooke School District elections, the opportunity to speak directly to voters. This has been a great opportunity, and I hope it's provided you with some insights on who you may be voting for on October 15th. It has been over a decade that I've had the opportunity to serve SD62, whether it was as a student leader at Belmont Secondary School, a trustee for the last 8 years, or as board chairperson for the last 5 years. It has been an absolute honor, and it's certainly come with its challenges. The last 2 years, in particular with the pandemic and school years, has been really challenging, but it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to see our school district come together. And I know that we have so many great years ahead of us, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of a board that continues to be innovative with learning practices, supporting our students with diverse needs, ensuring that we can get many of our students into post-secondary so they can compete with the jobs of tomorrow, and ensuring our educators, support staff, facilities have the skills and have the resources they need to be successful in supporting our students. Ensuring that we're reflecting the voices of our students. Again, student voice and choice should not just be a vision statement. It should be embedded in everything we do as a trustee. And that's something that I would continue to make as a priority. And growth. I can't stop talking about growth. We see it everywhere we live, whether you're in Langford, Colwood, or Sooke. I have the experience at the board table, sitting across from the Premier, sitting across from the Minister of Education, and I will be there as a trustee, fighting for you and building the new schools we need. Over my track record as board chair, we have seen over $225 million in investments in land purchases, new schools, as well as expansions. I'm really excited about the future of the Sooke School District, and I hope I get a chance to be a part of it. Thank you so very much.
This past July, I retired from VIHA after 35 years as a nurse, 24 years putting children into school, and being a role model for the school district for 11 years. I've been on provincial bargaining for Hospital Employees Union. I know that the teachers are going into collective bargaining, and I really feel that we need to increase their wages. They're the lowest paid in Canada, and we need to really bring up their wages. They're low by 7.5%. I have worked with the Board of Referee Tribunal for 7 years, so I really feel that I have a lot to offer as a school trustee. If you give me your support, I promise that I will work for the well-being of the students, teachers, and staff. Thank you for your time. vote Trudy Spiller, school trustee, Belmont Zone. Thank you for your time.